yesterday.
Good morning from Easier Habits Live. I'm Alec.
And I am Meg.
And today, since the theme of my week just seems to be like, keep going. Whether things are like crazy and starting a new contract and trying to figure everything out, or whether I've got everything figured out and the stuff to do is less exciting work.
Yeah.
You know, it's waking up in the morning and figuring out like, all right, how do I do the basics? How do I keep it going?
Yeah, how do you keep going in the plateaus or whatever, right? So, awesome.
So, I'll share some of what I've been doing. Maybe you can talk about what you've been doing to keep your projects going. I feel like some of what I've got, like I'm tired, but I feel like that's probably just a piece of what you have. I'm probably tired because you're not sleeping well.
Sorry.
Well, and you've had allergies and sore throat and everything, so like
it's been gross.
I can just feel the difficulty myself just being a little more tired than usual, but I'm sure for you.
I don't want to drag you down. I don't want to drag you down.
No, but it just happens. I also like to sleep in the guest bedroom, but there, you know, there's that thing is like you'll go through periods of time where you're sick, which was me a few weeks ago, where you're just more tired than usual, and how to keep the basic stuff going so you don't lose momentum in your work.
Yeah, well, and I remember like this time of year in college and when Facebook was starting to be a thing, it was like everybody and their dog was posting, you know, so-and-so is sick and tired of being sick and tired, you know, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
It's that time of year, right? When it's just gross.
Yeah, you're not quite to the summertime where there's fewer things going around. Yeah. And maybe allergies have settled down, but...
Yeah. I always hated March so much. It's not so bad here in Texas because we have some decent weather throughout March. Like this morning it was 21 degrees, which is like 72-ish. And so it's beautiful, you know, great walking the boys out to the bus stop. But, you know, there are times I know when it's still just cold and miserable and you're sick and spring doesn't feel like it's here yet. And so, yeah.
So if you're listening, throw down in the comments below what your challenge is, what makes it hard for you to kind of rise and grind, as some people say, or get into your routine. But for me, the routine is a big part of it, knowing what I'm going to do. And so for me, that's on two levels, is just like having a morning routine to get going. Mm-hmm. I mentioned in a past video, the hardest thing in my day is actually writing a few lines in my journal about how I'm feeling that day.
Yeah.
Because even if it's easy, it's an easier day. That's something I have to think about and actually process on a deep level.
Yeah.
But if it's a hard day, then I have to confront difficult emotions that I'd rather, you know, avoid or put off or solve by working through something.
Yeah.
So it tends to be one of the hardest things I do. And so just doing that in the morning, everything else is easier afterwards.
So
and so once I started that, that's been a good habit for me. And I've started doing that first thing, and then I follow that with my normal exercises and prayer and meditation and other things.
Yeah. Well, and as part of that prayer and meditation, for me, one of my biggest, you know, important things of my morning routine is just kind of that kind of mindset, you know, focus. And when things are so hard, kind of bringing it back to that why, you know, bringing it back to your why. Why am I doing this? How are the things that I'm going to do today, how do those fit into my overall vision for my life, right? You know, what is kind of like my theme? And right now, you know, thinking about like, yes, success, of course, you know, in kind of a very temporal way. But when I look more broadly, when I gain that perspective, really it is about helping people, and it's about love, and it's about connection and all of those things. And those are much more motivating to me than, you know, the concept of success. Because, you know, I feel like success is not something I should chase after for lots of, you know, psychological reasons. We're not going to go into that.
Another episode. Let's do that one tomorrow.
Oh my gosh. No, let's not. Yeah. So, but, you know, this idea of what are those things that really drive you, right? Those core values that you have. And what are, and how are the, you know, actions that you're doing, like fitting in with those? And so I like to do that in the mornings as part of my routine. And then the other thing that I like to do, when stuff like this is happening or whatever, is have something to look forward to, right? Have something that you're working towards. And that can be hard sometimes, I know, just, when you're busy and everything, but having those things that you do enjoy doing and remembering about those and taking time out of your day. So like yesterday we went for a walk. It was a simple thing, but it was something that I really like doing, and I like doing with Alec, and he likes doing with me. And so, remembering to do those things to break up the tedium sometimes can be good. And then also just cutting yourself some slack. Like, I'm sucking on a cough drop right now so that I have a voice, because if I don't, then I won't have a voice, and that's okay. I don't have to be embarrassed about that or whatever. I can still be doing this, and it's okay.
Yeah, I feel like for myself, I've done the connecting with my motivation on the level of like turning it into a slideshow movie with inspiring music, right?
You've done one.
That's
yeah.
the Mind movie from Becoming Supernatural, right? I've done that, and I feel like that for me has a limited shelf life.
Yeah.
Right? Like I've had maybe as long as a month where I can have one of those that feels like it has some punch, but like longer than that, I can still generally realize like this is what I'm going for, this is what I'm working for, but like I find for myself in terms of enduring, it's not maintaining motivation, it's reducing negative affect.
Yeah.
And so like that's for me one of the reasons why disarming it every day with a journal means like, all right, like there, negative affect, anxiety, whatever, frustration can't overwhelm me because I've already like faced it today. So like for me, that piece is actually more important. So it's like the facing the negative affect and then making it easier, knowing what to do next.
Yep.
And if you've ever been running and trying to run a long distance, you ever hit that zone where you're just like, all right, next step. You're not thinking about like the whole lap or even, all the distance you have left. You're just like, all right, just keep going. Then you're just focused on the next step. And so for me, like having a routine is helpful for that. So like when I'm starting in the morning, I don't have to face my whole morning routine. It's just a series of steps. Like, all right, journal first thing. Okay. Yeah. I've done my journal, I have my prayer, I have my breathing exercise, I have my physical exercise, I have my shower, and then I'm done with that, and I roll into work, but like every time it's just one step, rather than having to do the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think too that the different areas, because everybody's got multiple things going on in their lives at once. And so, one thing that's been helping me a lot lately is just surrounding myself with positivity. And not positivity as like toxic positivity, like everything's great, it's fabulous, but just things that are uplifting, right? So I've been reading a lot of Andy Andrews lately, who writes, kind of like quasi-fiction, non-fiction-y, like it's weird. But it's really nice, and it is uplifting. It's like, okay, yeah, I can do this. Listening to stories about people who struggle and overcome, or struggle and don't overcome, or, other things like that, and learning from their, mistakes and successes as well. And having something like that going helps me in a lot of other areas of life as well. So if I'm listening to, and I used to do this on purpose when I was younger, listen to depressing music because it got me into that like moody state, and it was great for my art when I was doing a lot of that, but it's not great for like sustained, focus and stuff like that. Whereas other stuff like this is, where I'm like, okay, yeah, people working together towards a big goal, that's awesome. And so having that in other aspects of my life, the entertainment that I consume, when I am having, a break or something like that, really helps me to keep going, and not hate the world that is so broken that we live in.
Yesterday I was belting out to one of my favorite old emo songs from the Jealous Sound, and like the beginning of like the chorus is, "We bleed to death on a first aid kit." So emo, so great, belting that,
I
enjoying that.
love it so much.
But it's not what I'm consuming constantly.
Exactly.
Like, I'll be listening to classical music if I'm listening to anything in the background or whatever, like, you know, some kind of upbeat rock or whatever. And what I am reading is definitely not like self-help stuff or nonfiction, but like it's definitely hardcore in the urban fantasy genre.
That's great.
But one of the things I like about it, so I'll give a shout out to Benedict Jacques, who is the author of the Alex Verus series starting with Fated. But I do kind of love the main character. He's a diviner, so he can see the future. And the interesting thing is, like, character-wise, he always sees himself as reacting to what's happening or what's about to happen. So he sees himself as passive. And, like, the character arc within individual books and within the greater series is him learning, like, wait, I need to sit down and define what I want and make that future happen rather than reacting to everybody else's future plans towards me.
I love that. That's awesome.
It's great. It's a great series. So, but it has kind of, for me, that seed of like,
right?
That like there is that undercurrent of like, yes, this is something I'm working on in my own life. Not just reacting to things, but making them happen.
Yeah. And so it's stuff like that, right? You know, surrounding yourself with the things that will get you where you want to go. Because it is hard when you're in that slog. And so finding, you know, sometimes, yes, you need to belt out something super emo and it's awesome and great. And like you have feelings that come up. There's that roller coaster throughout the day and that's fine. But on the whole, right, having those things is, you know, easily as possible kind of pushing you towards or just helping you along with your goals.
Yeah. Well, and I think even for like that emo song, the thing I enjoyed about it the most was the nostalgia, but also like the singing. I spend so much time, and a lot of entrepreneurs probably in the same boat, spend so much time in their heads or on a screen with like artificial things. So like connecting with something tangible vis-a-vis the walk, singing, art, like just something physical that you do, also is just a nice break. So it's kind of the change is as good as a rest, I think.
Yeah, no,
that's
I
helpful.
Completely agree.
So like get outside, touch grass, that kind of thing.
Yay. Find something to laugh about. Right?
Yeah.
Like there's so much healing that happens with laughter. Even if it starts like, you know, I was like, okay, I'm going to force myself to laugh for 10 seconds, which seems stupid. I was in the shower the other day or whatever, and I was like, ha 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 ha, you know, okay, this is dumb. And then I saw a weird little face. There was like a hair, you know, just like a little one, probably one of your like sideburn ones.
Nice.
And then like 2 little dots. And so it made this just like weird sideways awkward smile. And I just burst out laughing. It was just the funniest thing. I don't even know why. But I don't think I would have clued into that, you know, had I not already been focused on laughter and things like that.
Did you ever hear about like the laughter yoga kind of almost fad?
Yes. It's
That was
it's
a thing
still
in
a
the
thing.
2000s. It's still a thing.
Oh, it's still a thing. Wada yoga. Yeah, it's totally a thing.
That's the Japanese term for it, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I just realized that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I like it. So maybe it's a bigger thing in Japan.
Maybe.
Do they
I don't
keep
know.
up with it?
I mean, there's like rooms on Clubhouse for it. So.
Okay. Wow, that's fun. Anyway, so I mean, find laughter, connect to something tangible.
Yeah.
Make sure you have something to look forward to. Sometimes that tangible thing for me is curling up with a book and a cat next to me. So those are all good things. Having a set routine, and as I've talked about before, like having the routine in the morning helps. This week, and I've focused on this in previous weeks, but I have to do maintenance on my habits from time to time. But the making sure I have my top 3 priorities at least written up on my whiteboard right over my desk over there, so that when I sit down to work, I don't have to think about what I'm working on, but I'm just like, all right, that thing. Yeah. Just making it easier. That reduces, so you don't have to have as much motivation if you make your life easier. And if you're like a creative, especially if you're a creative entrepreneur type, it can be hard. You don't want, like, it feels restrictive to have a routine. You don't have to plan out your entire day, but planning out the first few steps so you don't have to think about them is a great way to get momentum.
Yeah, well, and I like the word routine so much more than schedule. right? It's not a schedule. You do this
Yeah.
at this time. You do this at this time. It's just kind of an order of operations, right? You do this and then this and then this, as things that you enjoy doing, but also that help you continue doing the things that you want to do long term.
Yeah. And the last thing that helps me when it feels like a grind or just being repetitive is that every week I'm trying to add in something new or fix something. This week it's a little bit more on the fixing side with the all right, I'd been focused on doing my journal and tweaking how I do that first thing in the morning, and this week it's a focus on making sure that I pay attention when I pray after I do my journal, and then having those 3 pieces on the board, right? And so it's just tightening up the morning a little bit. But I'm doing something this week that I wasn't doing last week, and so even if kind of day to day, it can, especially for someone like me who's novelty
Right.
seeking to a certain extent, not in terms of physical adventure like you, but in terms of learning and personal growth. I always need something new, so I'm always adding something in every week or tweaking something every week, which gives me enough novelty that I don't feel like I'm just going insane from the monotonous routine every day. So my morning routine really is never the same week to week, even though there's a lot of similar elements. So
I heard lots of beeping this morning.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, that's one of the things where it's I get bored of workout routines, so I cycle through. I've done, that's a good example. I've done a lot of VR boxing, and then I kind of got over that for a while, and now I'm doing HIIT. And I have a HIIT timer that beeps, and that's actually been really good just in terms of muscle workout. That was the sorest I've been in a long time, Tuesday, so.
Yay!
Anyway, those are a lot of different suggestions, just what's working for us in our life. I'd love to hear from you about your routine, what's working and what's not working, and how do you keep going. Throw any questions and comments down below, and of course, if this has been helpful, please like and subscribe. We're trying to build a community of entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, small business owners who are committed to putting in that extra little bit every day to improve.
Yep.
And of course, until next time, make big changes, one small habit at a time.